Welcome back, you beautiful people. Last of the patch notes videos. Now we're going to go over the card updates and a couple of just general changes to the game, which I'll quickly go over after we go through the cards. So, they're still in the process of a full rework to the card system that is planned for this year. This release continues our trend of updating the existing card set to reflect our general directions for the future. This includes several reworks to niche cards alongside updated functionality and balance across the full library. Okay, so starting off, health per CP has been increased to 60 from 50. Basic armor is going up to 8 per CP instead of 7, and ability armor is going up to 6 instead of 4 per CP. This is great news for tanks. It's nothing huge, but it will be something that will work in tank's favor. It's going to be really great for someone like Severog, for example. Any amount of extra health with the amount that he already gets, and any extra armor is going to be great for him. Weekly card pack is going to be Flashfire Piston, Wellspring Staff, and Minor Cast. Flashfire Piston is a very, very good card. You want at least one in your early game Fury damage dealers and minor casts, guys. So if you've got the rep to spare, go and get yourself a couple of weekly card packs and get some minor casts. 15,000 rep is actually worth it, in my opinion, to get these minor casts, because they're quite expensive to actually build yourself if you don't have all the materials to do so. Okay, so moving to the actual cards themselves. First up, we have Hemorrhage, which is now a universal card. It used to be a Fury card. The old Hemorrhage was a rare passive with a 0.3 mana regen on the card itself, and the unique passive was while bleeding, gain 16.5 attack speed and 18 power. Now it is used to be a 3-cost card. Now it's a 6-point card. Instead of getting the 0.3 mana regen, you now get lifesteal, 5% lifesteal, and 11 attack speed, which is great, because that was one thing that was kind of holding it back, apart from the fact that, you know, while bleeding, it was very, very niche. It was only really good against someone running blood-soaked armor or Grux. So now the active is, it actually has an active instead of a unique passive. For 6 seconds, gain 44 attack speed and 80 movement speed, but take an additional 15% damage. Now, it costs 50 mana, it's got a 35-second cooldown. May not sound that great because you're getting 5% lifesteal. When you activate it, you're getting 55 attack speed and you're getting movement speed, but you're taking 15% additional damage. But it's actually really good for someone like Severog, for someone that's running a tanky Grux or a Rampage, in my opinion. So we'll have to wait and see how well that actually works out as a card. I think it might be quite good. Next up, we have Nanoplasm, which is now also a universal card. It's a 6-point card. It used to be a 4-point intellect rare passive card, which gave you 50 health and 7 basic armor, and their unique passive used to be while bleeding, gain 35 basic armor and 20 ability armor against crits. It was very, very niche, like Hemorrhage. It was only good against blood-soaked armor or a Grux. Now it's a 6-point card that gives you 6 power and 30 max mana. Okay, so it's completely changed to the way it was, and it now grants Spell Vamp as a passive. Abilities heal for 20% of the damage dealt to enemy heroes and 5% against minions. So this is freaking awesome. This is going to be great to have on someone like Gideon. If you have your ultimate active, you're going to be healing. Your rocks, your cosmic rifts are going to be healing you for quite a lot. Gadgets, bombs are going to be healing her for a lot. Her ultimate for a lot. There's just so much here. It'll also be good for an Iggy, maybe? Making him even better. Another card that's actually going to make him even better is Tainted Magic. It's now it's a 7-point card that gives you 12 power and 0.3 mana regen, and it comes with the actual rework itself is the passive. Okay, it used to be an active. I'm sorry. So the way that the card used to work is it used to be a 5-point corruption card. It used to give you 1.4 health regen and 0.3 mana regen, and it'd have a active for 6 seconds on hit with ability. Apply poison stack to target for 6 seconds with a cooldown of 120 seconds. But now It's 2 points more expensive, but instead of just getting the health regen and mana regen, you now get power and mana regen, which is much better. And you get, instead of an active, you get Spellburn. Dealing ability damage to enemy heroes applies a damage over time effect that deals ability damage equal to 8% of the target's current health. This over 3 seconds. It doesn't stack, and more damage will refresh the duration. So this is really good. Iggy is coming back. It's going to be amazing on Gideon for his ultimate. Like I said, all of the casters for their AoE ultimates. It's going to be good for Iggy. It's just a very good rework of a great card. Now we have Scout's Wards. They now have 150 health instead of pips, and take 60% reduced ability damage. In case you didn't watch my other video on the hero rework, which I will link down in the description below. Pips are the small health bars on wards that if they have 5 pips, that means you have to hit them 5 times to destroy them. Now they actually have health, and they cop less damage off of ability damage. Shadow Ward is the same. It now has 225 health. 2 changes that I really love are the Circlet of Mana and Circlet of Health. They now have a fully upgraded bonus, which grants the mana and health regens globally. So this is awesome. You're going to see a lot of fully upgraded Circlet of Healths. Maybe not so many Circlet of Manas, but still it would be really good for a support at 6 CP or 12 CP to have these 2 maxed out. It's going to keep your mid lane caster in game longer. It's going to help your off laner without even needing to be there. It's going to be a very good change. Next up we have Armivore. Now Armivore used to be a 3-point Fury card. It was an uncommon passive which gave you 2 ability pen, and the unique passive on it was on hit with basic attack restore 2 mana. Okay, so now they've changed the stat to attack speed from pen, and they've increased the mana restored per attack by up to 6 instead of 2. So it's actually viable now. Not a bad idea. Who you would use this on? I'm not really too sure who would benefit from it the most, but it's an interesting change. We'll have to see how it works. Next up we have Battle Mantra. Now Battle Mantra is a 5-point order card. Okay, it's still going to be an order card. It's a it gives you 6 power and 3 mana regen, and it used to have a the unique passive used to be while over 50% mana gain 1.5 mana regen. Now it is 2.4, so just making a good card even stronger. Alright, next up we have Blood Catalyst. It's a 6-point rare active intellect card, which gives you mana and health, and it has an active on it. The active used to be consume 10% of your max health to gain 10.5 mana regen for 10 seconds. Could not be activated when critically wounded with a cooldown of 45 seconds. But now they've increased the mana regen to 17.5 per second from 10 for the same duration of 10 seconds, and they've removed the critically wounded limitation. So now it will be consume 10% of your max health to gain 17.5 mana regen for 10 seconds with a cooldown of 45 seconds. Good card. Next up we have Charging Brute. It's a 5-cost growth card with a unique passive. Okay, so it comes with 6 power on it, so you can slot power into this. It does not have a fully upgraded bonus, and they've pretty much what it is the unique passive is on a unit kill, gain plus 10 max movement speed for 5 seconds, maximum of 140, but they've changed that now, so the movement speed per stack is 20 instead of 10, the duration is 7 seconds instead of 5, and they've added the ability to move through units during the duration. So now the unique passive is on unit kill, gain 20 max movement speed for 7 seconds with a max of 140, and you can move through minions and heroes while this is activated. Next up we have Empyrean Mask. So Empyrean Mask is a 4-point epic active order card. It's about time this got changed because it's a bit lackluster for an epic active. Now the unique active is that you can cycle between one of 3 options: power, armor or mana regen. So what they've done now is they've just increased the value of it. So now for 4 points you will get 24 power instead of 18, or you can switch it to get 14 basic armor and 8 ability armor instead of 10.5 and 6, or you can switch it to the third option, which is mana regen of 1.2 per second instead of 0.9, so that's a good change. Okay, next up we have Everglass, which is a it used to be a 6-point card. It is an order uncommon passive. You get 0.6 mana regen on it, and the unique passive is on hit with ability, gain 40 max movement speed for a second. So the only change is that they've bumped it down to a 5 cost instead of a 6 cost. So now for 5 points you'll get 0.6 mana regen and the ability to gain 40 max movement speed on hit with ability for 1 second. Okay, so Font of Rapture has been changed quite a bit. So it used to be a rare passive order card, 5 cost, which gave you health regen of 1.4, 0.3 mana regen and 4% crit chance, with a unique passive that was Lifesteal will overheal, granting a shield that drops that absorbs damage for 3 seconds, maximum of 10% of your max health. So now they've changed the stats, so you still have the unique passive, but now instead of having health regen, mana regen and crit chance, it's now a lifesteal and power card. So this is actually a very, very good option for someone like Greystone. Being able to overheal before you go into a fight is pretty huge. We'll have to see just how great this ends up being, but it's looking like a very good card. Next up we have Hinderbeast. Now Hinderbeast is something that I always wanted to use but never sort of got around to it, but now I think I will. Okay, so Hinderbeast was a rare passive fury card for 3 points, which gave you 50 health and gave you a unique passive while carrying a river buff. On hit with basic attacks, slow target or targets by 5% for 1.5 seconds. So the change is now that the basic attack slow is now 10% instead of 5, and it now works on jungle buffs, which includes the green buff in addition to river buffs. So that's a great change, because this was pretty much what I wanted to use on a jungler anyway, so it didn't make sense not being able to work on the green buff, which is why I never really used it, and the 5% just seemed a little bit lackluster, but now 10% is quite nice. Alright, next up we have Incessant Onslaught. So they've reduced the active cooldowns by 0.2 seconds per basic attack. Okay, so the way that it used to work is 5 cost Fury card with a unique passive, not fully upgraded, just a unique passive. The card gives you 5.5 attack speed, so you can slot attack speed into this if you want, or you can just leave it as is. Basic attacks on players grant 10% cooldown reduction for 4 seconds, so they've got rid of that, and now it just reduces your cooldowns by 0.2 seconds per basic attack hit. So it kind of seems like it might be a little bit of a nerf, but it's gonna work really well on someone like Crunch that has really high attack speed. So we'll just have to wait once again and see if that's a decent change or not. Okay, next up we have Infinity Stream. Okay, so Infinity Stream before the patch is a 7-point intellect card with a unique passive. It gives you 0.3 mana regen and 0.2 ability pen with a unique passive of 2.4 mana regen, which scales with your current mana percent. So the way that they've changed it is they've changed the regen value scaler from current mana to missing mana. Okay. Increased the base regen value to 3.6 from 2.4. Okay, so it used to give you 2.4 mana regen scaling with your current mana percentage, but now it's going to scale with your missing mana. So yeah, I don't know, it's kind of a little bit of a weird one. We'll have to see how many people actually end up using it now. It should be better, because technically if you have less missing mana, the percentage is going to be higher, I believe, or it may actually work the other way around, because I haven't actually noted that really well. So whichever way it works, it should actually be a decent card, but once again we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so next we have Mad Spore Sash, which is a 6-point growth card with a unique passive, health regen of 1.4 and basic armor of 7. The unique passive is Radiate, which deals 10 plus player level ability damage per second to nearby enemies. Radiate passive does not stack. So the way that they've updated this is that they've increased the radius of effect from 300 to 500, so nearly double it, and they've increased the damage to 12 plus 1.5 times player level instead of 10 plus player level. So this is just going to be even better. It's actually a really good card. I don't see it used very much, and we probably will see it a little bit more. It's going to be a pretty decent card. More for the support role. It's quite a good support card. But like I said, we'll have to sort of see whether there's any Narbashers out there running this. So next up we have Mending Bloom. Now Mending Bloom, they've changed the stats on the card and they've increased the mana regen. So Mending Bloom is a 5-point growth card that gives you health regen of 1.4 and it has an active that grants 3.8 mana regen for 15 seconds to yourself and nearby allies with a cooldown of 35 seconds. Now, instead of health regen on the card, you get max mana, and they've increased the mana regen to 6 from 3.8 for 15 seconds. So that's actually pretty decent. That's what, 90 mana you're going to give back to your team, which is nothing to turn your nose up at. Next up we have Nano Drive. I'll just pull this card up because I don't remember what this is. Okay, so Nano Drive's a 6-point intellect card with mana and ability pen on it, with an active gain 1 stack of 20 max movement speed for each nearby player for 4 seconds. Cooldown of 45 seconds, so now it grants 100 movement speed for 2.5 seconds with a 14-second cooldown. So now you're not reliant on how many people are actually around you, you just get a flat 100 movement speed for 2.5 seconds. That's actually really good. That could be good enough for someone like Steel to get in close enough to ult, or chase someone down and get a shield up, or whatever. Actually, he's not even going to have a shield to... Or is he? I forget. That was in the other video, which I'll link in the description down below. Next up, we have Overflowing Gifts, which is... It works much in the same way of Mending Bloom, but it's health regen instead of mana regen. Okay, so the way that it used to work is that it was a 5-point card, giving you 0.3 mana regen with an active that grants 6 health regen for 15 seconds, with a cooldown of 35 seconds. So now, instead of mana regen on the card, you actually get max health, and they've increased the health regen to 9.5 from 6. So that's, there was nothing wrong with the card to begin with, so it's just getting better. Purity Sensor, which is an order active card that gets rid of debuffs. It's a very, very used card at the moment. It now costs 80 mana to cast, and the cooldown has been increased to 120 seconds from 90 seconds, which is great because it means that Auroras might be getting some ults off. Great change, I like that, because not everything has to be a buff, because just nerfing that card a little bit means that someone like Aurora is more viable. Alright, next up we have Radiant Mantle. Increased burn radius from 3 to 500 and increase the damage. So this is exactly the same as Mad Spore Sash, pretty much, except it is an order card that costs 6 points. So yeah, not much really to talk about there. Just refer back to what I said about Mad Spore Sash. Alright. Now we have Rally the Troops. Okay, so Rally the Troops, if I can find it, is right there. It used to be a 5-cost intellect card, which gave you 5.5 attack speed and 0.3 mana regen, with an active that grants 22 attack speed to nearby allies for 5 seconds with a cooldown of 2 minutes. Now, it costs 50 mana to cast. It reduces cooldown to 30. They've reduced the cooldown from 30. Oh my god! They've reduced the cooldown from 2 minutes to 35 seconds, and they've increased the attack speed buff to 33 from 22. So it still comes with attack speed and mana regen. It's still costing 5 points, but now it just costs a bit more to cast and gives you a bit more, but you can cast it more often. Alright, next up we have Rocket Spike. They've reduced the cost from 4 CP to 5 CP, which is good. Rocket Spike is well, it's now going to be a 4-point Fury card. That has an active on it. It gives you 5.5 attack speed, and the active, for 10 seconds, your next ability hit on an enemy hero will shred 45% of their basic armor for 4 seconds, with a cooldown of 45 seconds. This is one card that I actually want to put into one of my builds. Not gonna sort of say what that build is, but it's a really good sounding card. I really want people to be able to build armor and to make these shred cards better, so this is a step in the right direction by reducing the cost. Speaking of shredding cards, we have Satori Cloak. So they've increased the armor shred duration to 2 seconds from 1.5. Satori Cloak is a 5-point order card that gives you attack speed, and it has a unique passive of on hit with a basic attack, shred 50% of enemy heroes' basic armor for 1.5 seconds, which will now be 2 seconds. It's a very good card. It dropped off a lot when Monolith came out with the changes to health and armor. It was very, very prominent at the end of Legacy with the armor meta that we were in. You would you'd be hard pressed to find a decker that wasn't running Satori Cloak or a Greystone or a Kwong. Someone would always have Satori Cloak, and it may end up making a resurgence with the changes to armor and stuff like that, and Steel's buff and things, so we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so we now have a card called Scorpion Plate. It's a 6-point growth card. Okay, well, currently it's a 6-point growth card that gives you 50 health and 7 basic armor for 6 seconds on hit with basic attack, shred 2 ability armor from targets for 4 seconds, consecutive hits shreds an additional 2 ability armor and refreshes the duration with a cooldown of 45 seconds, and that's an active. But the way that they've changed it is that they have increased the duration to 10 seconds from 6 seconds. So what that means is when you activate it, you have 6 seconds to make the hit. So that will mean that you have then another 10 seconds to... you would have 4 seconds to increase that shred while it's still going. They've reduced the cost to 5, and it no longer shares a cooldown with Splinterbark Vest, which is great. Just makes it even stronger. Okay, next up we have a Shockwave. So they've reworked the active on this. So it's a 5-point intellect card. It gives you 6.6 mana regen. The active used to be slow nearby enemies by 250 for 2 seconds, 45 second cooldown. It now deals 50 damage in a large radius around the hero, slowing enemies by 250 movement speed for 3 seconds with a cooldown of 45 seconds, but it now costs 50 mana. So that is much better. It's still got the same movement speed slow. It also deals 50 damage, and you have an extra second on the movement speed slow. Same 45 second cooldown, but it costs 50 mana, which these kind of actives probably should all cost mana. Okay, next up we have Siren Song. Siren Song is a 6-point corruption card. Okay, it is an active card. It gives you 5 lifesteal, and the active is for 6 seconds on hit with basic attack, steal 40 max movement speed from target for 4 seconds with a cooldown of 30 seconds. So they've increased the slow magnitude to 60 from 40, so you will steal 60 max movement speed for 3 seconds, but now it used to be for 4 seconds, now it's for 3 seconds, so it doesn't last as long, but it's going to be more. So stealing 60 doesn't really sound like much, but I believe the way that it works, because no one really ever tried this out too much because it was a bit lackluster, is that they get 60 movement speed slower and you take it from them, so you get 60 faster. So it's a difference of 120 movement speed. Okay, next up we have Splinterbark Vest, a 6-point growth card, which is now going to be a 5-point growth card. It gives you health and ability armor, and active for 6 seconds on hit with basic attack, shred 4 basic armor from the target for 4 seconds, consecutive hits, shred an additional 4 basic armor, and refreshes the duration. So they've increased the duration to 10 seconds. This is the exact same thing as Scorpion Plate instead of ability armor, it is basic armor, so it's another shred card. Once again, it does not share a cooldown with Scorpion Plate, so it's going to be even better. And hopefully with the changes, like I said, to armor and health, this becomes a little bit more prominent. So next up we have Stablink. Okay, now Stablink is obviously a blink card, and it is a 5-cost corruption card. So it's an epic active. It gives you 1.4 health regen currently, and the unique active: consume 20% of your base health to teleport forward, cannot activate while critically wounded, 15-second cooldown. Unique passive card cannot be used for 5 seconds after taking damage from an enemy hero. So the way that they've changed it is they've reduced the base health cost of 15% from 20%, which is good, and they've removed the critically wounded restriction. But the active cannot be used if your health cost would result in a death. So that's interesting. So you can use it while you're critically wounded as long as it won't kill you. So you can get away, but they have not removed the unique passive that stops you from using it 5 seconds after taking damage. So you can be at near death, but you must have not been hit for 5 seconds to be able to use this. Okay, so next up we have Stasis Gem, something that there's been a bit of talk about lately, and we won't go into that. So Stasis Gem, they've reworked it to now be universal affinity. Great. And they've reduced the cost to 5 from 7. A lot of people think this is a load of trash, but working in with some other cards that have been reworked, this actually could be quite good. It is actually quite good. It's good on someone like Deca or someone like Gadget especially, to put your ultimate down and then activate and become immune to damage and crowd control effects for 2.5 seconds. During this time you're unable to move, attack or use abilities, and it's got a 45-second cooldown. So they've just reduced the cost on that, made it universal, so I'm interested to see what people do with this. Alright, next up we have Wicked Stigma, a rare active corruption card that costs 5 points. You get mana regen of 0.3 and 50 health on it. It has an active for 6 seconds on hit with ability, gain vision of target or targets for 10 seconds, cooldown of 30 seconds. So the way that works now is that everything's the same except the ability hit grants vision of the target for 6 seconds instead of 10 seconds. So not a major change there, but it's a change nonetheless. Now we have Thermobond. So it no longer activates from Deca's containment fence ability. Okay, so Thermobond is a very, very popular card at the moment. It's an 8-point universal card, gives you 100 health and 4 ability armor with a unique passive called Determination. Heal for 12% of your max health over 4 seconds after being hit by a stun, root, or knock-up. So you can no longer clip Deca's containment fence and activate this, which is what a bunch of people were doing. Alright, next up we have Tempest Pearl. Okay, so with Tempest Pearl, it's a 6-point order card, gives you power and ability armor, 6 points of power and 4 points of ability armor, and active grant 100 max movement speed to nearby allies for 3 seconds, cooldown of 60 seconds. No doubt you've seen this before. So they've reduced the cooldown to 45 seconds, which is great, and it now costs 50 mana to cast. So that's a theme going on with the active cards now, all costing mana. And last up, I need to bring this card up because this is a very interesting card. Trader's Touch. So Trader's Touch is a 7-point corruption card. It gives you 2.5 lifesteal and 0.3 mana regen. And the way that it works, it has a unique passive. Basic attacks on players, deals 3% of their current health as additional damage. It now grants 5%. Now this was almost viable before, so I might have to run some numbers when it actually gets released to see if it's worthwhile, but it could actually end up being viable to use on Grim now, maybe, I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. But that is all the cards that have been changed that they've listed. Obviously we've got some more changes. We've got new content for the version 40 update in the loot crate. We have Aqua default phase, Cobalt default phase, Coral default Iggy, Marine default Iggy. Yes! Iggy, Scorch Skins, yeah! They've added the Revenant Mastery to the loot crate. They've also added Cloudbringer, Epic Rift, Prove It, and Hats Off emotes in there as well. There's some UI changes, switching to alternate PS4 controller configuration for new players, community tab added to the home screen, community pop-up added, golden keys introduced, which we've talked about in the last video, monthly mega vault added to in-game home screen, which is in the last video, link in the description, reward snakebite Murdoch deep sea variation, golden loot key, and 3 diamond chests this month. That's nice. So we'll have to see what we get out of that. Daily quests. They've removed destroy 1 enemy inhibitor and destroy 2 enemy inhibitors. They've added destroy 1 enemy ward. Changed the following quest: destroy 2 enemy towers. It used to be 3. Destroy 3 enemy towers. It used to be 7. Destroy 1 inhibitor. It used to be the 3. There is now an animation when you receive new daily quests. Fix the display issue that caused daily quests to show more credit than has actually been earned. All reticles will now turn red when you are targeting a valid target. Damage number pops adjustment. So they've made the numbers that pop when you do damage smaller. The physical damage will move to the right and energy damage will move to the left. So that's basic and ability. Crits are now slightly bigger and pop up more. No more scaling numbers on amount of damage. Minion health bar tweaks disabled scaling on minion health bars, and they now fade the health bars out when they're not being targeted. Adjustments to placement of health bar, recall, and respawn UI. If players were using the alternate control scheme that is now the default, new players will have this alternative control scheme by default. The boost indicator on the front end no longer glows gold, even if no boosts are active, which is good. Just small subtle changes. Adding bonus start event for when you start at a higher tier than bronze for the star chest. Updated stealth river buff to trigger the same shadow plane visuals as Kalari, Shadow Walk, and Necrovale. Ward destruction visual effects are improved. Minor visual polish and optimization on minion death effects and tower projectiles impacts. Tower projectile impacts now leave less residual plasma particles hanging around. Polish pass on minion jungle creature impact effects. Minions should no longer follow players into the jungle when aggroed at spawn. Bot difficulty tweaks. So if you chose normal, easy, or intro when starting the game, the bot difficulty tweaks the normal will run away when hurt a bit sooner. Easy, they'll no longer recall, will take damage under tower, no longer avoid AoE attacks. The intro, they no longer run away when hurt, no longer have delayed strategic reactions. They now have delayed strategic reactions, rather, so you won't be getting like absolutely destroyed by a Fae. Max targeting distance brought in 500 units. Bots no longer attempt to recall while suffering a dot. We got some audio fixes, some fixed extra meshes, helmets, pumpkin heads, etc. not disappearing on heroes when the camera gets too close, and some additional hero changes. So Aurora's icy footprint should now appear as intended. Fixed the conversion seal flashing effects on medium settings and material effects on Reaping Dash for Feng Mao. It's nothing much, just some visual tweaks, sound tweaks, and that's about it. So it's a very, very huge patch. We've now gone over everything in all 3 videos. The other 2 videos will be in the description down below, guys, for the Age of Intellect. But that's it. That's everything covered. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash the like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Check out those other videos as well, guys. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.